God's law and His promises. Point 2, WC 1422. I make bold to tell you that the most powerful force running your life now isn't your job, not your background, nor even your circumstances, but your imagination. I also announce this good news to you, that the life you're longing for, the breakthrough you've been praying for, is only one daring belief away. Listen, this long before self-help books and motivational speeches flooded our world, one man discovered a divine principle hidden in plain sight. God dwells not in the clouds, but in the creative power of your own mind. This is the story of how a desperate dreamer with no money and no way out defied the odds, not by striving but by seeing. And in that vision he met God, within. What if everything you desire is already within reach? Not through effort, not through striving, but by belief. What if the secret to your transformation lies not in the world around you, but in the world within? This is not mere theory, but a truth revealed through a living testimony, a story rooted in hardship, taught by a spiritual mentor and proven by the fruit of unwavering faith. The story of a desire, from desperation to destination. In 1933, during the Great Depression, life was grim. Jobs were scarce, hunger was widespread, and hopelessness thick in the air. I was living in New York City, a dancer without a stage, stripped of opportunity and barely able to afford a meal. Theaters were closed, and performers like me had become invisible. Yet deep within me was a longing, a yearning to return to my homeland, Barbados. But the harsh reality stood in front of me. I had no money. Not a little. None at all. Still, I confided in my friend and mentor Abdullah, affectionately known as Ub. I want to go to Barbados, I told him. Without hesitation he replied, "You are in Barbados." Confused, I repeated, "I am in Barbados?" "Yes," he said, "you are in Barbados now." I didn't understand at first, but Ub was teaching me a profound truth, the law of assumption. If you truly desire something, you must assume it is already yours. To desire Barbados was not enough. I had to believe I was already there. I had to feel it real in my imagination. When I went to bed in New York City that night, I imagined myself falling asleep in Barbados. I visualized New York to my northwest, 2,000 miles away. The law of assumption brings about the inner shift. Night after night, I imagined myself in Barbados. Weeks passed and there was no visible change. Frustrated, I told Ub, "If I don't catch the next ship, I won't be able to go." His response was sharp and final. "Who said you were going to Barbados? You are in Barbados." He slammed the door in my face. That wasn't an invitation to argue, it was the end of the discussion. I had to either believe or not. 2 days later, I received a letter from my brother Victor. Inside was a small draft of $50 and instructions. The steamship company had been paid to issue me a ticket to Barbados. The money was for anything else I might need. The ticket was already mine. When I told the company, they informed me only steerage class was available initially. But by the time we reached St. Thomas, there'd be first-class space. I was content. I had a way home. When I shared the news with Ub, he didn't blink. "Who said you're going to Barbados? You have gone and you went first class." On the day of departure, I boarded the ship expecting steerage class accommodations. But the agent smiled, "Mr. Goddard, we have a surprise for you, a cancellation. You're going first class." Ub wasn't surprised. He had taught me, belief is more powerful than facts. What you assume and accept in your imagination must reflect in your reality. This is the law. Now let us look into this amazing truth, the God within us, the true identity of the divine. Believe in God, the scripture says. But who is God? To many, God is distant, a figure beyond the clouds. But to those who discover spiritual truth, God is closer than breath. He is your own wonderful human imagination. If the word God brings to mind something outside yourself, you have the wrong image. For you are the temple of the living God. He lives in you as you. God in you is your imagination. That is the creative force, the divine essence. When you imagine with conviction, you are exercising the power of God. Another enlightening truth we should consider here is the law and the promise. These are two different realities. There is a distinction between the law and the promise. The law is simple and unyielding. As you sow, so shall you reap. This is cause and effect. If you assume a state and remain faithful to it, that state will manifest. If you don't assume or doubt, it will not. You are the operant power when it comes to the law. The promise, however, is unconditional. It is the divine plan of redemption. Regardless of your actions, your status, or your deeds in this world, whether you are a king or a criminal, the promise is sure. God has implanted within every soul the seed of redemption. All will be redeemed. All will awaken. This is not something you earn, it is something God wills. So don't let anyone frighten you by suggesting your behavior can stop the promise. It cannot. The promise is God's doing. But while you're here, learn the law and live by it. Live graciously, the fruit of the law. Why not live well? Why not live generously? Why not be kind, gracious, and refined? While you are in this world, you are invited to use the law wisely. The law allows you to shape your experience. You can be what you want to be. The key is faith and imagination. If you react negatively to news stories or gossip, you are planting seeds of judgment and fear. These reactions become your harvest whether you accept it or not. So discipline your mind. Read things that uplift. Meditate on scripture or poetry. Fill your imagination with beauty, because whatever you dwell on will return to you. You may not remember when you planted a seed, but the harvest always reveals the nature of the planting. The law does not mock or deceive. As a man sows, so shall he reap. Here are practical steps. How to use the law. Dare to assume. Take a desire and assume it is fulfilled. Feel it real in your imagination. Live in the end. Sleep, walk, and think from the place of fulfillment, not hoping but knowing. Let it go. After imagining, release the desire. Do not obsess. Trust that it is done. Watch for the bridge of incidents. Life will rearrange itself to reflect your assumption. Do not try to control the how. Not everything takes a month. Some results come overnight. Others take longer. But whatever the seed, it bears fruit in its season. In conclusion, walk boldly with God within. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of chance or circumstance. Within you dwells the power that created the universe, the living God, your own wonderful imagination. The law teaches you how to shape your present. The promise assures you of your eternal redemption. Use the law daily. Imagine noble things. Believe in your dreams. And when doubts arise, remember, you are the operant power. And above all, rejoice. For the God of Scripture is not far off. He is near, so near he is in you as you. Live from this truth, and you will not only transform your life, but you will awaken to the divine purpose for which you were sent, to know yourself as God. In the end, the story isn't merely about a man traveling from New York to Barbados. It's about a soul journeying from doubt to faith, from lack to fulfillment. The law of assumption reminds us that what we persist in imagining, we eventually manifest. But more importantly, it uncovers a deeper, divine truth, that God's promise of redemption is not reserved for the elite or the perfect, but for all. While the law responds to our faithfulness, the promise is unconditional. God's grace isn't earned, it's realized. So, as we walk through life, let us remember, we are both creators and receivers. With imagination as our tool and God as our source, we are never truly without. Let your inner vision rise above your outer limitations. You are not waiting for God to act. God is waiting for you to believe.